Welcome to Live the Dream with yours truly, Marty Kaiser. Buckle up and let's get started. Happy Friday, everyone. This is Marty Kaiser with our Friday edition of Real Estate Tidbits. Hope all is well. And everybody's bearing up with the heat. It's going to be a hot one. I think yesterday it got up to, 96, but the heat index was over 100. But believe it or not, there's other parts of the country that have temperatures over 100. So it's not as hot here as somewhere. It's been a crazy weather year. So as I always mention in our hot weather, stay hydrated. For those of you that like to soak up sun, make sure you use sunblock. You just don't want to have skin problems down the road. So anyway, enough with the weather. I'm going to go over a few things today. Today, most of my shows are pretty unscripted anyway, but today is probably even more so. Had a very busy week this week, so I'm just kind of rolling it and shooting from the hip today. So the first thing I'll go over, I always go over a little bit about Hunters Creek because that's I always mention. Besides I doing a lot of business in there, it's a great frame of reference because there's always a lot of activity there. So as I mentioned in last week's episode, our listings had gone down surprisingly, and I didn't know if that was an anomaly or a trend. But this week they've gone back up. In fact, the last 2 or 3 days we've had 6 new properties come on the market in Hunters Creek. So it's hard to say what our trends right now. Everything's kind of week to week, and not only in real estate, but just in how things are conducted societal-wise. So in Hunters Creek now, we're up to 48 listings, and they range in price from $399. And believe it or not, they just had a record asking price listing. They put one up in a very popular section of Hunters Creek called Hunter's Isle. It's a gated community. About half the community in Hunter's Isle were custom-built homes, and the latter half of Hunter's Isle were David Weekley homes. So this particular home is it's a nice home. I haven't toured it yet because it's not my property, but I did look extensively at the pictures, and it's a nice property. But for Hunters Creek, this is a really aggressive price. The asking price is over $1.2 million. So that if it sold anywhere near that, that would be a record price for Hunters Creek. So it'll be interesting to track that one. I can see why it would be a higher price, but I think that price is a little bit wishful thinking by those particular sellers. But you never know. It only takes one buyer. So you never know. I will let you know if anything changes on that property, but it actually just came on the market about 2 days ago. On a personal level, I'm going to be inputting a new listing this afternoon. It's also in Hunters Creek. Very, very nice home. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It has a bonus room upstairs, all the other living areas on the first level. Has a very nice pool, spacious pool, and a large deck. And it's actually it's an extended deck, and it has 2 separate covered areas. So it's a great deck for family gatherings, or if you like to throw friends or parties or whatever. It's an excellent situation to host those type of activities. Also, what's going to make it unique, because there's not many of these out there right now, it's a really nice waterfront property. So picture you're out on a nice evening, you've got a nice pool, you've got a very expanded deck with a lot of covered areas, and then you overlook your private waterway there. And so it's very pristine. The home itself has been immaculately maintained. It's a one-owner home. It's got gorgeous engineered bamboo wood floors throughout most of the house. The kitchen has newer appliances, all stainless steel. It's a very well-maintained home. And it's a great floor plan because you have what I would call 4 traditional bedrooms. It's a split plan, and you actually have a 3-way split. You've got the master bedroom, then you've got 2 guest bedrooms, and then in the rear of the home, you've got a 4th bedroom with a pool bath adjacent to it. And so that 4th bedroom can be multi-use depending on the size of your family. If you didn't need a 4th bedroom, it would also be ideal for a second home office, an exercise room for people that sew, a sewing room, could also be a nursery. It has a lot of options with it. Now, besides all the rooms that I've mentioned, there also is a dedicated office den. So, but you have 4 bedrooms, you have a bonus room, and then you have a den. And the den can also be used besides an office. It would be ideal for a nursery. If somebody has a young child or children, it would be an ideal situation. You'd have a great setup for them, and you'd still be able to keep a close eye out on them. So the house has been tremendously designed. It's a Morrison home. The landscaping has been very well maintained. The home itself is in move-in condition. And the most exciting aspect for potential customers, it's very, very, very reasonably priced compared to homes that it would compete with. It's asking $700,000. So for those of you that seem like you might be interested, it'll be posted later this afternoon on all your major websites. My private website's floridasells.com. Of course, it'll be on realtor.com and all the other websites as well. The living area is just under 3,000, so it's a very good size home. And it's all, believe it or not, I don't usually mention this, but it's got a really nice and functional utility or laundry room. All the appliances convey, including a nice washer and dryer, plus all your stainless steel appliances, as I mentioned, in the kitchen. So if you'd like to set up a private viewing or you have further questions about it, please call me. I can be reached at 407-595-9700, or my email address is marty@floridasells.com. So that's a new listing. We did adjust a property that we do have for sale too. We have one near SeaWorld in an area called Parkview Point. It's a very well-maintained, updated 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little over 1,500 living area, move-in condition, well-landscaped. Also, this particular community, they take care of your lawn cutting and landscaping for you as part of your HOA. And we just modified the price on that one to $377,500. So again, if you have any interest in that one, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to help you with that. So what else is going on in the world in real estate? Well, real estate, it depends on what type of information you're reading. Some of the more well-known real estate groups or experts in real estate say the market is being surprisingly solid given the state of what's going on throughout the world. And you know, the Iranian conflict obviously still dominates the news. We just had the primary elections for our November elections in Florida. I wouldn't say there was any major upsets. There was a few favorites in a couple of the primaries, especially on the Democratic side, where the favorite going in ended up not winning the primaries. The actual elections will be the first Tuesday of November, so it should be interesting. I won't make any comments about it, but I'm sure a lot of you folks have followed that. The only thing I tell people is be informed, demand facts, and do some research. And last but not least, vote. Every vote counts. And as you've seen over the last 10 years, depending on who's in office, is quite a difference in the governing style and a lot of other variables. I mean, it's like right now our country, unfortunately, on the extremes is kind of what I would call black and white. You know, a lot of people are either one extreme or another extreme. I don't think that's very healthy for the country, especially given the fact that the majority of the people are somewhere in the middle. But the extreme philosophies seem to be what has governed us. So you need to demand things. I think what you've seen in this election cycle is there's been a few behavioral problems where the candidates, fortunately, were defeated in the primaries that had some very negative personal behavior. And personal behavior, not that it necessarily ties into people's political philosophies, but I think it does tie into people's ability to how they treat other people. Are they concerned with everybody, or are they just concerned with a smaller group of people who they like, as opposed to, you know, when you're in charge of a state, or obviously as the president, you should be governing the entire area. The big area in Florida now is going to be Amendment 3 on property taxes. So I won't bore you with that, other than to say I covered property taxes a few months ago. If you feel that cutting property taxes would be good for the state, then you should vote for that amendment. If you feel that even though it might help your individual situation, but would take away from vital services and would penalize people that don't own real estate and would suffer more of the burden of where they're going to raise this additional revenue from, you should vote against it. But there's plenty of articles out about Amendment 3. So, you know, you should study up on that. So when you go in the voting box the first week of November, you'll have an informed opinion on that. So why is real estate so volatile right now? You know, I'm a person that prides myself on facts. I give reasoned opinions. When I'm out with a customer, of course, besides discussing the merits of a property, we also obviously discuss the locational benefits of it. What's the future hold for that particular neighborhood? How is that property priced now relative to other opportunities? So all these things I always focus on. But right now, it puts more of a premium on them. Things are so erratic right now. You know, what are the things that make the news that a lot of people are uncomfortable with? Well, the Iranian conflict seems to there doesn't seem to be much in the way of good news. Whatever solutions ultimately happen are probably not going to be in the United States' best interest. The cost of living continues to go up, not only gas prices, food prices, electric prices, insurance prices. Seems like everything's going up, and so your dollar doesn't stretch as far. And the price increases have definitely exceeded what people generated income for the most part. You know, we have more of a delineation of the masses in not only in Florida, but throughout the country. The wealthier seem to be doing phenomenally well, but the middle class and the people that are less fortunate are doing worse. So we have a society with the haves and have-nots, and that spread has increased continually over the last 40 years, but it's got especially bad over the last 10 to 15 years. And we don't seem to have politicians that really have solutions to it. We have one party that complains about it, but they really haven't done much about it. We've got another party that really doesn't want to admit to it. You know, they still think that everything's going along great for everybody. They tend to be very narrow focused in how they look at things. You have to look at things with a broad brush and not a finite brush, because when you're governing or when you're evaluating an area, you have to look at everyone, not just a select minority of those folks. So this is a cause of a lot of consternation. And I wish I had a good opinion for you that these things are going to improve, but I really can't say that honestly. We'll just have to wait and see. I would say the best news from my point of view regarding real estate has been that real estate in the Orlando area, even though it's not as busy as we typically would be during the summertime, it's pretty much held its own. So the prices have been pretty flat. The overall market, really, the prices haven't come down. We're still faced with kind of what I call the three-tier real estate system. Premium properties that are immaculately maintained, that have a lot of upgrades, that are in desired areas, they're selling quickly and for excellent prices. Then you have distressed properties, of course, where people have let the property go for various reasons. And of course, if they're going to sell their home, they're going to have to take a deep discount on those type of situations. Many of those properties, investors get them, and they do some type of flipping activity, meaning that they'll go in and do some improvements. Some are more extensive than others. And then they'll put the property back up, and obviously investors hoping to make a large profit. And then you have the third category, which is the majority of properties, which vary a little bit, but they have some things that people like and some things maybe that people don't like. Maybe they need some updates. Maybe they're not in the number one choice of locations. It can be a variety of things. But those properties are more competitive and they're more erratic. Some of them take a lot longer to sell, and others sell in a reasonable time frame. The way that I explain to my sellers is, if somebody hires me to sell their property, all things being equal, not only do I want to sell it for top dollar, but I want to sell it reasonably expeditiously. So my time on the market is always better than the average times. But when people ask me, well, how long do you think it'll take to sell my home? I don't like to give them a firm answer, but the only thing I'll say, which I feel strongly about, is that the house is going to generate its best price in the first 60 days or less. And frequently, the first offer you get is going to be your best offer. So that's why when a house goes on the market, it needs to be in as great a presentation condition as possible. And the more reasonably priced it is relative to the market conditions, the more excitement and activity you're going to generate when the listing is newer. And it's always better to take advantage of that burst of enthusiasm for a new listing. People that tend to overprice their homes, they don't get the benefit of that burst of enthusiasm, and the houses frequently take longer to sell. And the longer a house is on the market, the less it sells for. Or you might see what I call a new realtor on the property every 90 to 180 days. There's some listings on the market you'll pull up that have been on the market, that have been with 3 or 4 different agents. And usually, it may or may not be the agent's fault, but it usually has something to do with the house and the pricing strategy. Now, I do hold agents accountable. If an agent dramatically overprices a home, the agent should be accountable for that too, because he's doing that customer a disservice. But everybody has a different way to operate. So, I won't say anything more about that. But, I expect Orlando and some of them, like Hunters Creek, for example, when we've had these economic upturns and downturns, Hunters Creek's always maintained a certain strength to it because it's got so many positive features going for it. It was one of what I call their premier planned unit developments in Orlando, in that there was extensive planning that went into building Hunters Creek. So they tried to anticipate things that people wouldn't like. Not only the aesthetics in terms of the park and recreation system, community landscaping, trying to make the community pretty much where water issues weren't an issue about, even during really bad weather. Flooding has been almost non-existent in Hunters Creek. So, and they did a really good job with that, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Hunters Creek has maintained a top reputation, It's been recognized over the years as one of the top communities in Orlando. Like CNN Money Magazine, a national publication, had excellent ratings about Hunters Creek. And I think you'll find that it's a community, as a realtor, when you're showing it, it really doesn't have a lot of faults. You know, it's always had a sought-after school system. It's close to everything. It's close to Disney. It's close to the airport. It's close to downtown. It's reasonably distanced from the west and east coast beaches. It's a tremendous family activity. The recreational facilities and the landscaping ambiance are second to none of any community in Orlando. So I use Hunters Creek a lot because I'm a little biased toward it. I sell properties all over. But in certain price points, I feel Hunters Creek is a tremendous, tremendous value. So that's a little bit about what I call wheeling and dealing today, because like I said, this was just information that is completely unscripted. Hopefully it's been beneficial for you. Next week, I'll probably have a little bit more facts and figures. And don't forget, we have our Tuesday Marty Kaiser Unfiltered Sports Takes, which are always exciting, for me anyway, and hopefully you'll find them exciting. We've had some interesting news in the sports fields, so I'll be going over some of the hot topics on Tuesday. So that's all for today. Stay hydrated. As I mentioned, use sunblock when appropriate. And this is Marty Kaiser out.